A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to today's news analysis. We are doing the Indian Express papers, Chandigarh edition, and today is 18th of December. Before starting, let me tell you one thing. So I've started making short notes, handwritten notes on a piece of paper as to what all things were there in the news. Bit short analysis on that. So I'm sharing that on the Telegram channel. So the channel is IS Primers. The link is there in the description box, also in the comment section. Okay, so that's it. So now moving on. So first news topic that we have is ICMR data leak. Some people have been held for that, and they have also stolen data of FBI, Pak's, CNIC, etc. CNIC is the Pakistan's equivalent of Aadhaar, right? So that's it. Now, how can it be asked in the prelims? So one is ICMR, which is obviously always in the news. What functions does it perform, right? So that is one thing. So what functions does it perform? Uh, then, is it a statutory body, right? What does it do? It's a statutory body. Is it a constitutional body, etc.? So some type of questions are also asked. So ICMR is neither a statutory body nor a regulatory body, and it is primarily responsible for hosting clinical trials registry. So that it does. Now imagine that data is stolen. So lot of data with regards to healthcare sector, citizens' personal data, all of that is stolen basically. So it's a, we can deem that also as a national security risk also. It also raises question marks about the integrity of data management. Okay, now I was telling you about ICMR functions plus the nature of the organization. So that is there. So yes. Now one more thing. These days we have another scheme of the government known as Ayushman Bharat. Within Ayushman Bharat, one of the schemes is National Digital Health Mission. In this, all your data, whenever you go to an hospital, you have to furnish your Aadhaar card, and all your data, prescriptions, etc., would be in a single database. This is to facilitate the healthcare sector. But imagine with the concerns about integrity, there are obviously legitimate issues. Next topic again is important. This is from GS3 point of view, Assam Rifles issue. So let me first tell you what was there in the news, then how more things can be asked in the prelims. So Assam Rifles plans operation changes for deployment on LSE if required. If required. So key takeaways are basically, so one is that first of all, we should know that Assam Rifles is not part of army. Actually, it is a central armed police force. It is a paramilitary force. It comes under Ministry of Home Affairs and not Ministry of Defense. It has officials from police also. It has some officials from army also. So likewise, the paramilitary force. That means it is not supposed to be fighting wars, but it may deal with insurgency. In fact, that is the primary role. So on the eastern borders, they deal with the issue of insurgency. That is their primary responsibility. So now what we hear is that one news we hear is that Assam Rifles are being stationed on the LAC, line of actual control. So when we refer to the line of actual control, we refer to the borders, unsettled borders with China. Okay, so they are being settled on the LAC. More deployment is taking place along the LAC. That is one thing. So likelihood that they are more patrolling duty on the LAC front rather than insurgency. So more patrolling is to be taking place to augment the capacity of the Indian army. And by the way, army is the offensive force. If the war takes place, army takes over, LAC patrols, and then the charge is given to the army. Okay. So that is one thing that is taking place. So more focus on the LAC. And second thing that is taking place is, even with regards to army is being freed up from insurgency operations, that is in the interior parts. they are being deployed to the border areas along the border front. So the main responsibilities that they should be doing, not insurgency. So these were the main points that are there. And we hear that Assam Rifles officers and soldiers are training with the army on various things regarding border patrolling, like mines also, etc. Okay, how it can be asked in the prelims, in the mains paper. So there is one concept in GS3, that is one border, one force. So we have multiple paramilitary forces. We have BSF, which is mainly to do with Pakistan. Later, part of Pakistan became Bangladesh. So they deal with that border. So one border, one force, one dedicated force. Likewise, we have Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force, which of course Tibetan border. Then we have Shastra Seema Bal, which is with regards to India and Nepal. So like that, we have one border, one force over here. So that concept is there. The efficacy of that scheme, so that can be taken up. Further, previously we have been asked, like, what are paramilitary forces, or name at least 5 different paramilitary forces that you are aware and briefly describe them. So that type of questions have been asked previously. Okay. Now, if we have to talk about border management, there is another initiative which happened post Pathankot attack, that is Comprehensive Integrated Border Management Scheme. Use of manpower as well as technology, sensors, etc. So Comprehensive Integrated Border Management Scheme was there. Okay, so that can be asked, that can be taken up. So this is the more of explanation over here. India will become the world's third largest economy in his third term, if elected, of which we expect. Okay, so that is there. Then there is a mention of Sankalp Yatra test of the PM's work, and here there is a reference of Vixit Bharat Sankalp Yatra. So the Sankalp Yatra is basically Vixit Bharat Sankalp Yatra. So what is this Vixit Bharat Sankalp Yatra? It is basically an initiative to increase the outreach of various government schemes. So the multiple government schemes that are there, increase their outreach. Furthermore, intensification, right? There are certain areas where the schemes have not been implemented. There are gaps over here. So intensification on those fronts, right? So that is the theme. And another objective is to make people aware of what the government has done over the years and sensitizing them about the schemes, and if they have not availed, so strengthening the scheme so that the people avail those schemes. Now today morning I have shared with you the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, and we clicked on the flagship schemes. So you can see the rural outreach and the various government schemes have been listed over here. A perfect solution for you for your prelims preparation, right? All the schemes are given over here. Exactly this link I have shared. Then we have the booklets also, presentation on urban campaign, right? SOP. So these are things that we can actually look up for our prelims preparation, mains also. Quiz, QR code, try this. Right. So you will get a lot of good ideas for your pre-preparation. Next is about the United Nations Security Council. So the External Affairs Minister he was asked about India's inclusion as a permanent member of the UNSC. So he says UNSC is like an old club. It's like an old club, exclusive club. Members want to keep control. So there are 15 members, 5 P5 and plus 10 members, temporary members. So the members want to keep control. The P5 has a veto power in particular. So he says India will definitely get UNSC. He gives an example that UN itself had 50 countries initially. Now it has about 190, it has about 200 countries. So UNSC also this thing will take place. And further, he is engaging with countries, India is engaging with countries to garner support. He is mentioning about the talks with the Gulf Cooperation Council. Cooperation Council is something that we expect for prelims also. So if you can look at the map over here, this one. So this is an example of the Gulf area, and the countries around here, the Arab nations over here are part of the Gulf Cooperation Council. So all Islamic nations except for Iran. Iran is not an Arab nation, right? That is Iran and Arab nations are actually enemies, rivals. So here there is mention of GCC, but we know India is engaging with the US, India is engaging with Russia for inclusion, but all of them secretly veto India in any proposal of expansion of the group. Even France does that. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. Now, of course, we can build on this issue. So the need for the UNSC reforms, the issues and challenges plagued by the UNSC or the ineffectiveness of UNSC in dealing with the global crisis, the relevance of the UNSC, something like that can be there. Then the need for reforms. I have just mentioned the reforms in the page that I've shared with you. So I referred me veto power expansion of permanent members to make it more inclusive or democratization of this thing. Equitable representation. Presently, we see particularly the P5, they are, except for the exception of China, all of these allied powers who won the war, Second World War. So, so it should be more equitable. It's the global north, particularly the Western bloc over here. So that reform needs to be done. And I'll tell you something. I think in 2016, question was asked with regards to the countries of the Uniting for Consensus. Uniting for Consensus, which is also known as Coffee Club. These are countries who have consensus of not expanding the UNSC. So this obviously means India is not part of it, and it is Pakistan and other Italy. These countries are there, and they are having coffee together and planning that UNSC should not expand. So and Pakistan is there, so Turkey should also be there. Okay, and the group of countries that want expansion, particularly in India's case, there is something known as G4. G4 means India, Brazil, Germany, Japan. Germany and Japan were not made members because they were the Axis powers during the Second World War. Some political controversy, but we find things for prelims. Bihar government 72 crore plan to develop Saha Birthplace as sparked controversy. Okay, fine. So it has sparked controversy. Okay. There is a mention of a Sahadesh Dasan scheme, which is a scheme of the union government to promote tourism. It comes under Ministry of Tourism as mentioned over here. Sahadesh Dasan, within the country, visit, tourism. So we need to know about the Sahadesh Darshan now. So just a second. Yeah, this is the Sahadesh Darshan scheme. It is to promote tourism, tourism infrastructure. And point number B over here. So one of the things under this is they are making these circuits. Himalayans, 5 circuits are there, and it is a central sector scheme. That is, it is not a central sponsor, it is central sector. Central sector means 100% of the funding is coming from the center. Himalayan circuit, Krishna circuit. Now, if you Google this, you will get sites relevant from Lord Krishna's point of view. Like with Buddhist circuit is there, coastal circuit. Then we have Ramayana circuit, Tirthankar circuits, Sufi circuit. We just have to Google these terms and we will get good information for our prelims. The name of the saints, their important locations, right? All that will dargahs, so that we should be getting. Now, with regards to this Swadesh Darshan, we get the idea of religious tourism, what the government is doing, we get this. There is another scheme known as Prasad, and there is Hriday, right? These are associated with the rural, religional tourism, right? So Swadesh has a component of this thing. Prasad is to create, augment important cities, important sites associated. So those areas around it. So develop those, and likewise there is Hriday. The sites that are shortlisted under those schemes are, of course, important for your prelims also. The government is prioritizing it, so obviously. Next, we have this idea exchange with Dr. Raghuram Rajan, former governor. And I didn't read this, honestly, too much for the eyes. But we get one important thing. He refers one to demonetization. We're not concerned now. One, the other is state of women labor force participation in India is well known and sad. Okay, so we did the analysis on labor force participation rate. You have it on the Telegram already. I refer to the PIB, and I have started getting very, very confused with all the data that we get. So I have some private data which says that it has actually gone down in this particular year, but we cannot go with this. We will go with the NSO data. Labor force participation rate is coming from the government only, right? NSO it is. And briefly, let me tell you the formula also for labor force participation. Labor force participation is basically the number of people who are employed divided by a number of people who are employed and those who are unemployed but seeking work. Fine. So this means if I say that labor force participation is 30%, so that means that 30% of those who are seeking work are getting employed. As simple as that. If we say 80%, it means 80%. Now we are saying male labor force participation, female. So female employed upon female employed plus female unemployed but seeking work. Now let's look at the data. So we refer to the data, male data you can get over here, but the concern is the female labor force participation rate because it tells us a lot of things about the society, right? So the concerns, we talk about women empowerment, then GS1 has women component also. So, okay. So you look over here, female data, then we have rural data, urban data. Okay, I have made a mistake while sharing this fact sheet. I've given the rural urban data combined. Okay, so first thing, if you look over here, the female data over here, so you can see it is 41%, and at the urban level, it is 25.4%. Overall, you see rural is higher than the urban data. So why is it higher? Why is the rural one higher than the urban data? Isn't it logical that when one moves to the urban area, there is both a couple have to earn. They may not be owning a house. They may be living in a rental property. So both have to combine, right? But that we do not see over here. One reason could be with the increasing affluence. When the male member's salary money increases, the female prefers to take a back seat or prefers to go to the mommy track, that is engaging in household responsibility, the term that was coined or maybe used by Claudia Golden, who won the Nobel Prize in Economics Global Gender Gap Report. So you see there is a significant change over here. Now one thing I could not understand was this, and in 1 year there is a significant jump over here that I can't explain right now. More of it could be the statistical change maybe that has taken place. Otherwise, in 1 year, what significant has occurred, I don't know. Right. So that's it actually. Then why is labor force participation rate significantly lower as compared to the male members? So that is again a theme that can be seen. 78% female, it is 40%. Rural, normally we expect actually more participation because they intend to work in assistive agricultural sector. Okay. Yeah, opinion section now. Political, not constitutional. With Article 370, even I think so. The judgment that has come, I'm not doing this. Then in India, in AI age, basically it is about the AI regulation, and there is a reference of global partnership on artificial intelligence. Next article is on food versus fuel. So recently it came out. The government has this ethanol policy. That is, we use petrol, mainly it's with petrol. So why not blend petrol with ethanol? Right. So few years back, I made a video, I think 2020, COVID time, that E20 policy was there. That means 20% of the petrol that you use in your car, 20% of the petrol would have ethanol in it, so blended fuel. Now, what is happening is that the ethanol which is coming, it can come from various sources, but primarily it is coming from sugarcane. The sugarcane juice. It's coming from sugarcane juice. Now, when the sugarcane is grown, you can make sugar out of it, or you can convert it into ethanol, right? What is happening is ethanol is more profitable. The diversion is the farmers, the mills buy it, they process it into sugar. Now they bought capacity and they were distilling it into making ethanol, which can be then supplied to oil marketing companies. So in that process, what has happened is sugar supply has come down and the sugar prices have appreciated. So there is a shortage of sugar. So concerns, of course, inflation increases, consumers are not happy, consumers are the main voters, and the interests of farmers are obviously compromised. So what the government has done very recently, they have put curbs on export and produce of quantities that processors, wholesalers, and retailers can stock with regards to sugarcane and the ethanol thing. So that is the problem. So restrictions on exports and further differential pricing of ethanol coming from sugarcane and from that coming from other sources. Now this goes against one thing, the free market. The farm laws also, the government had proposed giving farmers freedom to access the markets, etc. So it goes contrary to that. The government wants to control and regulate. Second thing is, it is in a way unethical for policy credibility, right? We don't know, government says something, it says you blend ethanol, the people make investments. For example, the milling companies made additional capacities, they made investments to convert sugarcane into ethanol. So that happened. So those investments also go bad. So policy credibility issue is also there. Further, the interest of the farmers are compromised. And more recently, in the G20 summit, the Global Alliance on Biofuels was also released, right? So it's a setback to that as well. Now we come to the international section, the world news. So first of all, we hear about Israel steps up Gaza strikes as the hostage talks with fail. Libya is there in the news. Migrants coming from Libya trying to enter into Europe. They come through illegal ways. They use overfilled ships, and that it capsized. It turned around. It overturned actually. Okay, next. Sunak says, the UK Prime Minister, that asylum seekers could overwhelm parts of Europe. So again, a part of his policy that stops asylum seekers from other countries into UK and Europe. So now this statement maybe comes in the context of the UK's seemingly unethical plan known as Rwanda plan. That is people coming into UK through the English Channel, through these vessels, etc., entering into UK, and then they are deported back to Africa. In Africa, the country Rwanda, right? So that is the Rwanda plan, and Rwanda is provided with a bit of money so that they deal with the refugee thing in their own country itself. So he's being criticized. Now he's making a case with the Europe. Okay, next we come to, Putin says no plan to attack NATO. Fine, it's an obvious statement. Next we come to the Indian economy, saying, so SBI chairman is saying that India is doing well. Money from the outside is coming to, so much crores have come to India. Asset growth has taken place, 7 lakh crore asset growth. So that's what he's saying. Okay. Moving on, the important article that to me was the China +1 strategy. Logistics, is it the key bottleneck in India's China +1 strategy? So the main focus of this article is on logistics. So first of all, what is China +1 strategy? So China +1 strategy is basically companies, this means China. When I draw this, it means China. So let's say I'll write China also. So China has, of course, many companies, especially US-based companies like Apple, right? Tesla, you name it. There are a lot of American companies in particular operating in China because of China's competence in the sector, supply chains, raw materials. It has good infrastructure. Now, in the recent times, because of the tensions with US, for example, the spying issue or the issue of US concerns with regards to the 5G deployment, the next generation of IT, all those things, plus geopolitical tensions. Then the COVID thing happened where the China imposed lockdown and these companies suffered because of that. So there is a ploy which says that yes, we cannot exit from China because our dependency on this country is too much, but we need to look at an alternative. This alternative could be India, but it seems to be more of Vietnam actually, Vietnam, Philippines, the ASEAN nations, right? So that is the China plus one strategy. So that is one is that we cannot move away from China because of our dependency on China, but we need to look at an alternative as well, just in case matters go very bad or there are some domestic issues with China. Plus, one more issue is that China has this export controls, the capital controls, which says that money can come into China, but taking out money is a bit difficult. Exiting China is a bit difficult, very difficult. Okay, so alternative. So one they're saying is that logistics is the key bottleneck. That is when things come to India, right? So using the logistics, it is difficult. First, we do not have the port infrastructure. Then when it comes, there are regulatory hurdles. It takes time. Plus, it is very costly. In fact, there is one data. Uh, I was referring to the LPI, Logistics Performance Index by the World Bank. It says that if a good comes into Bombay from outside, and it has to go to Delhi to a consumer, the cost of traveling till here is as much as making a good move from Bombay to London. That's how ineffective, inefficient the logistics infra is. In fact, the cost is about 14.4% in terms of GDP as compared to the advanced countries where it is 6%, 8% of GDP. So we lag behind on that front. So that logistics thing is one issue. Besides, I would like to add some other issues. India is not part of regional partnerships, free trade agreements like the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, Asia Pacific. So the most of the manufacturing is taking place around this belt, China, and then the Asian nations, right? So these nations. So they have this agreement. So the free flow of goods, the infrastructure is there here only. The semiconductors and everything is coming from here only. They are the ones who's exporting to here, US, or exporting elsewhere. So we lag behind. We are not partnership partners over here, and so we stand to have disadvantage. Further, these new age trade pacts have this rules of origin. That is, the export benefit will only arise if everything is made from here only. If it is coming from outside, then it will not qualify for the exemption, and India is not part of it. Only reason that India stands to benefit is the huge population that it has. Right. Besides that, India is actually at a very big disadvantage, and we see more investments actually moving towards Vietnam. That is emerging as the next hub actually. So that's it actually. So we come to the explain section, and that's it for today's